When it comes to small aircraft carriers, what is the maximum size of aircraft that has ever taken off from and landed on some of these small carriers? By the way, let's imagine how large or what class of aircraft the future Type 076 will be capable of launching and recovering. First, let's talk about the aircraft carrier HMS Hermes. The total length of HMS Hermes is only about 236 meters, which is roughly the same length as our Type 075. Its full load displacement is only 28,000 tons. Back in the 1,960 seconds, it was tested for launching and recovering the American F-4. Moreover, this was an original American F-4 without any modifications. The F-4 seconds that the UK later put into service were modified British versions, which had better takeoff and landing performance and were equipped with more powerful turbofan engines. In contrast, the American version of the F-4 did not have a turbofan engine. Instead, it used the J79 turbojet engine. Let's take a look at the data of the F-4. It has a length of 19.2 meters, a wingspan of 11.7 meters, and a maximum takeoff weight of 28 tons. As we know, the supersonic performance of the F-4 is quite good among second-generation fighter jets, with a maximum speed of approximately Mach 2.2. This is the British aircraft carrier HMS Victorious. The catapult of HMS Victorious was not as good as that of HMS Hermes, so HMS Victorious was unable to catapult the F-4. However, when it came to catapulting subsonic aircraft, it could launch the Buccaneer attack aircraft. Looking at the data of the Buccaneer attack aircraft, it has a larger wingspan of 13.41 meters, a length of over 19 meters, and a takeoff weight of also 28 tons. Additionally, its bomb bay is quite impressive. It can hold 4 500-kilogram bombs, making it larger than the bomb bay of the F-35. Since it is a subsonic aircraft, its takeoff performance is better. The maximum displacement of HMS Victorious is only 35,000 tons, and its flight deck is approximately 44 meters wide. There are currently reports that the deck width of the Type 076 is roughly the same. There is a book written by Mr. Zhang Mingde, a Taiwanese author, which is part of a trilogy on aircraft carriers. This book contains data on its catapult. We can see that HMS Hermes, also known as Hermes, used the BS-4A catapult, with a catapult stroke of only 145 feet. Later, I found the conversion, and in fact, its length is only about 40-odd meters. A catapult of this 40-odd meter length can launch aircraft of the F-4 class. We also see another piece of data here. They can catapult aircraft weighing 50,000 pounds, but there is a speed limitation. If you catapult an aircraft with good lift, its takeoff speed is lower, so it can take off from such a small aircraft carrier. However, if it were the F-18, they might not be able to catapult it. Although the F-18 has a smaller takeoff weight, its takeoff speed may be too high. The takeoff speed of the F-18 seems to be over 160 knots, and this catapult may not have the capability to handle that. Therefore, there are actually two key factors determining whether an aircraft can take off from and land on an aircraft carrier. One is its takeoff and landing speeds, and the other is its weight. If the aircraft carrier can handle the energy required for the takeoff and the weight of the aircraft, then there will be no major issues. As we know, for the current Type 076, it is basically certain that the Attack 11 will be deployed on it. The Attack 11 has a lower takeoff weight and takeoff speed than the Buccaneer and F-4 of that era. Moreover, we use an electromagnetic catapult, which has more power than a steam catapult. Will there be larger unmanned aircraft capable of taking off from and landing on the Type 76 inches the future? This is also worthy of our attention. In fact, the HMS Ark Royal is much larger. Its displacement reaches 54,000 tons, and it has a relatively small angled flight deck. The length of its deck is not long either, only 245 meters. Furthermore, the catapults of the HMS Ark Royal were also not long, initially 151 feet, approximately 40 to 50 meters. However, after subsequent modifications, it was equipped with 199-foot catapults. Especially for aircraft like the F-4, we can see that the HMS Ark Royal was able to operate second-generation fighter jets like the F-4 very well. Even more remarkable is the American Essex-class aircraft carriers. Modified after World War II, they have a full load displacement of approximately 43,000 tons. Back then, they were already capable of launching and recovering the A-3 attack aircraft. The A-3 attack aircraft is quite large in size. It has a length of 23 meters, which is longer than our J-15, and a wingspan of 22 meters, also longer than that of the J-15. Its maximum takeoff weight can reach 37 tons, and its normal takeoff weight is 31 tons. Its normal takeoff weight is already similar to the maximum takeoff weight of the F-35C, and its maximum takeoff weight is comparable to that of the F-15EX. The fact that it could be catapulted to take off and land on the Essex-class aircraft carriers back then is quite remarkable. Now, let's take a look at the catapults used by the American Essex class at that time. The largest catapult used by the Essex class was only about 215 feet long, yet it could catapult aircraft weighing 37 tons. If an aircraft is designed to have a relatively low takeoff speed, it can take off even with such a heavy weight. Moreover, we can see that there were quite a number of A-3 attack aircraft deployed on the Essex class back then. From the picture here, we can see 3 Ampere's 3 attack aircraft. At that time, each Essex-class aircraft carrier could deploy approximately 7 to 12 Ampere's 3 attack aircraft for nuclear strikes. Even more extraordinary is that the United States conducted tests on the C-130, taking off from and landing on aircraft carriers in the 1,970 seconds and 1,980 seconds. According to the data I found, the C-130 could completely take off from and land on aircraft carriers without using catapults or arrestor cables. Its landing weight on an aircraft carrier could reach over 50 tons, and its takeoff weight could reach 70 tons. Later, the United States conducted tests showing that when the C-130 took off from and landed on an aircraft carrier, it could fly a range of over 4,000 kilometers while carrying a 13-ton payload. The ability to take off from and land on aircraft carriers is actually very attractive for ocean-going deployments. Of course, we can see that the biggest problem with the C-130 taking off from and landing on aircraft carriers is that the carrier's flight deck basically needs to be cleared, making it impossible to launch or recover other aircraft. However, it should be noted that the C-130 was developed in the 1,950 seconds. Although it has undergone certain improvements, many lift-increasing technologies have not been applied to it, such as blown flaps for lift enhancement. If improvements are made, such as reducing the size of its wings, then operating a 50 to 60-ton aircraft on an aircraft carrier would not affect the dispatch of other aircraft. In particular, if an aircraft carrier has a displacement of 150,000 tons and a flight deck width of 86 meters, then there would be no major problem in launching and recovering an aircraft with a length of around 30 meters. As we know, aircraft like the E-2 already have a wingspan of nearly 25 meters. If the deck width can be made 86 meters, then theoretically there should be no major issue in accommodating an aircraft with a 30-meter wingspan.